Today, we're going to break down some really powerful advice from Jordan Peterson about a skill that might just be the most important one you could ever develop: articulation. And look, this isn't about just sounding smart. It's about becoming genuinely competent and effective in the world. But when he says dangerous, he doesn't mean it in the way you might think. He means formidable, a force to be reckoned with. It's about having the single best tool there is to cut through the chaos and actually make your mark. So, what are we even talking about when we say articulate? Because it goes so much deeper than just having a big vocabulary. It's really a way of being. Think about it like this. Your arm has articulated joints, right? It's not just one big, solid, useless chunk of bone. Those joints are differentiated, and that's what allows for graceful, complex movement. Well, your speech is the mental version of that. It's the ability to differentiate your thoughts, which makes you competent and compelling instead of just vague and confused. And you have to understand, the stakes here are incredibly high. This is not some nice-to-have skill for professors or politicians. No, this is a fundamental requirement for being competent in absolutely any part of life. This right here, this gets to the very heart of the idea. Language isn't just for talking to other people. It's the tool we use to build our reality. We take all this chaos and pure potential around us, and with our words, we create order. We make plans, and we forge a path forward. These are your options. You can be competent and dangerous, or you can be vague and useless. You can create order and strategy with your words, or you can just stumble around in chaos and confusion. The choice is really that stark, and it's a choice you're making every single time you open your mouth. And this really does apply to everyone. An articulate plumber, they can negotiate better deals, manage their team, and think through complex problems on the job. They can build a better business. Or think about a special ops soldier like Jocko Willink. He becomes a better leader not just because he's strong, but because he can listen, think, and communicate with absolute clarity. His competence as a warrior is directly tied to how articulate he is. Okay, so we've spent some time on the why. Now let's get into the how. How do you actually train this skill? Because it is a practice, and it's something you can start doing today. This is the key to everything. See, the goal isn't just to talk more, it's to speak with more truth, more precision, and to do that, you need a method. Imagine you're crossing a murky swamp. You can't see the bottom, but you know there are solid stones under the water that can hold your weight. So what do? You have to feel around with your foot for the next solid step before you commit. Well, words are exactly the same. You have to feel for the word that feels solid, that feels true, before you say it. So here's the practical breakdown. First, just start paying attention. Seriously, listen to yourself speak and start cutting out the fillers, the ums and likes. Second, practice that swamp analogy. Ask yourself, does this word make me feel stronger or weaker, more whole or more fragmented? Third, make it a rule to only say things you actually genuinely believe. And finally, you gotta read and you gotta write. Absorb how great writers structure their thoughts, and then use writing to clarify your own. Writing is the ultimate tool for this. Now, this is a huge part of it. You have to learn to pause. When someone asks you a question, don't just jump in with an answer. Take a second, pause, and ask yourself genuinely, what do I actually think about that? Treat it like a real question to a part of yourself you haven't met yet. I promise the answer that comes out will be so much more interesting and true. This brings us to the final point, and honestly, it might be the most important one. Becoming articulate isn't just some self-improvement hack. It's actually a profound moral and philosophical mission. When you take control of your speech, you're really taking control of yourself. It's an act of deep personal responsibility. You're aligning your inner world with what you say out loud. You become the master of your own tongue, and in doing so, you become the master of your own being. So you're faced with two different ways to use language. The first way is instrumental. You use words to win arguments, to get what you want, to just appear smart. But the second way is to use them for honest inquiry, to discover what's actually true, to find the right path forward. The first path is all about short-term victory. The second is about long-term wisdom. What happens if you really go all in on this? If you decide that from now on, every word you speak is going to be an attempt to say what is true as clearly as you can, what kind of person would you become? And what kind of life would you end up building? It's a pretty profound thing to think about.